Okay, so I've started the webinar. I know there's a few of you online. I'm going to be waiting till 7:15 to start it with everybody else to allow the rest to log on. But meanwhile, in the chat, oh, perfect. Yay, Ruth, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so you can see the screen and hear me. Can you confirm both if you don't mind? Hear and see. And actually, I'm going to show you my face. Hi. Can you just confirm that you can hear and both see me? Great. Okay, thanks. Yay, okay. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Ruth. Perfect. Looks like we're good to go. Like I say, I'll just wait a few more minutes, wait for everybody else to log on. Good. Thanks. So really, one of the things I want to mention is that if there's some technical problems, sometimes during some of the webinars, you might have kind of a break in the link, maybe kind of it slows down or it seems to have ended, but obviously if I'm in mid-conversation, it hasn't. All you need to do is just be patient. We're meditating. Try to be patient as much as possible. Press the F5 key or a way to refresh the screen, and then it should continue. Should be fine. Or the other thing is, if you're having real problems, re-click the link, and you should be able to come back in to the webinar just the way you logged on. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you again. Great. Well, cyber see you, I guess. And so, like I say, I'll get started again in a few minutes, and I'll show the presentation instead of looking at me. I'm not sure if that's boring or not. And at the end, I'll open up to questions. So if you have questions throughout, no problem. Put them in the chat room, and I'll address them at the end, not while I'm presenting. And also at the end, know that you have the opportunity to share whatever it is that you have experienced or ask questions, because that's an important part of the webinar, to be able to ask questions and see, you know, if you're on the right track, feel comfortable that you're on the right track. Okay, so I'll wait a few more minutes. And meanwhile, I'll show you the presentation. Oh, Liz, I love it when you're online. Fantastic. I'm going to warm up my tea. I'll be right back. We have one more minute. Okay, I'm going to get started. It is 7:15, and again, welcome to everybody. My name is Julie Smith, and I'll be hosting the webinar tonight. And I want to talk to you tonight about my approach to meditation, which I call success through stillness. And I'm still looking at the screen right now in the chat room. Could somebody just confirm before I get into it that you can see me and you can see the presentation? I want to do that because last time I went ahead, hurrying ahead, and it was a bad idea. So if somebody could just write in the chat area that yes, please, I can see you, and I'll continue. So that you can see the presentation. Thank you, Carol. Okay, let's continue, because now I can't see that screen. Okay, so an overview of today, just quickly. The purpose of today is to give people that haven't logged on to my webinars before a bit of a taste of my approach to meditation, and a taste of meditation perhaps. Maybe it's the first time you've meditated. So this gives you an idea of what it's like. And also for those that are continuing to come to the webinars and understand that this is a continuation, and it'll go on like this. Today we're doing step 3 of the 5 steps, but then we'll go back to number 1 again, because there are so many different techniques for each step, which I'll explain. So again, it's for those purposes today. So today, what I'm going to do, short introduction of myself and my approach. Then we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion over step 3, which is calming the overactive mind. So I call it really decluttering the mind. And then I'm going to give you a couple practical tips, especially for those that have not meditated very much. And then we're going to do a guided meditation. The idea here is to experience meditation. That's the purpose of why I'm sure why you're coming here. And actually, the last bit is also very, very important. This idea of question and answer. To me, you know, an app, those types of things are really great, but it's interactive is the idea of this webinar. So give you an opportunity at the end to ask some questions or share some feedback. Okay, so a little bit about me. A number of you know me quite well, but for those that don't, I come from a corporate background. I'm still in a corporate background, and I have been for about 20 years. And I always say I used to think meditation was a bit cuckoo bananas because it was way out there for me. And even when I started to meditate, I was a closet meditator because I was afraid of what people in my corporate environment would think of me. But as it began to transform me, I realized when I was comfortable with it, so was everybody else. And one of the things that was in my mind is that I needed to give up being successful because, you know, success and meditation, that doesn't mix. But actually, you know, I realized that it's natural to want to succeed at things, whatever that is, to get better at your sleep, to improve your relationships, get a promotion, whatever that means to you, success, because we all want to grow. We all want to expand. That's about, you know, tapping into our human potential, and meditation is so much aligned with that. You can be both, trust me, successful and a meditator, and really allow that meditation to bring you to that great success. Another kind of key point about myself is my teachers, because I have 2 main teachers. One is Ravi Ratan, who resides in Mumbai in India, and he's taught me a lot about chakra meditations. So I incorporate a lot of that to my approach to meditation. The second person is Alan Wallace, and he's an amazing person. His background is in Tibetan Buddhism, and he lived in India as a monk for many, many years, and he's actually still a student of the Dalai Lama. So I've been very blessed to have these 2 people enter my life and teach me what I'm basically teaching you. Another thing about my practice, my personal practice, is that I try to go to the root of the teachings. So I've been studying in Nepal, in Thailand, in India, in the UK and Canada as well, all over the world. But I really do try to go to the root. And every year, I do take this quite seriously. Every year I take a vow of silence for usually a week to 10 days, usually the 10-day vow of silence, and go into deeper levels of meditation. So that gives you an idea of my practice anyway. But again, the key message that I want to get across today is that your gateway to success is really through stillness. Yeah. So you don't have to be busier. You don't have to be more cutthroat. You actually can get to success through stillness. And you'll actually feel happier when you arrive to that success, or at ease, more fulfilled. And it's a very strange thing because, again, relating to a lot of the students I have in my personal experience is that I used to be afraid of stillness. You know, we become so addicted to busy that we were afraid to sit still almost. And this approach that I have to meditation actually turns that around. And I'll talk a bit about that now. And first of all, really, for those that haven't meditated before, this question arises, you know, what is meditation exactly? What is that stuff? And really, it's very simply put, it's about training the mind first to be aware and then to connect, to kind of tune in to that stillness within you. So a big thing is it's not about it changing the external world, because if you start looking at your mind, which we will do today, you start realizing we're trying to control everything around us. And this, again, turns it back within. We're working on our internal world, and you begin to see the external world differently. That tagline I have, walk calmly through the chaos around you, that's really what we're talking about here, is that this stillness that we start to connect with allows us to walk more calmly. And that stillness, I can tell you, it's always there waiting for you. Meditation is simply about training your mind to be able to access that stillness no matter what's going on around you. Okay? So I've done this little diagram. Gosh, I hope it makes some sense to people. But again, when you think about success, we think that there's all sorts of problems keeping us from this perceived success. But there's really just one problem always, is that we're disconnected. And I used to feel that way, is disconnected. And when I say that, when you begin to meditate, what we're talking about is this disconnection from self, like starting with that, our body, our own sensations, our emotions. We've just kind of cut off from them. We're trying to store them away and not feel them. And today we'll look at the mind. So again, just disconnected from what we're thinking even. And then that goes beyond ourselves, and we start creating barriers to others, barriers to our environment. We're not connected to nature anymore, as an example. So again, this diagram tries to depict this idea of what we simply aim to do with meditation is move from this disconnected state to a connected state, where from a fear mindset to a love mindset. And you know, that might sound silly, love mindset, but it is. It's about compassion towards ourselves, towards other, a feeling of unity and connection. That's what we're trying to do. And when we connect to that within us, we bring our best self to everything. Okay. So again, just quickly, so you understand where we're at within, I talked about these 5 steps. I have a 5-step approach, and it's really based on 2 principles. Anyone that's come to the webinars before, we took the first 2 steps, and those, actually the first 3 steps are based on this idea of releasing. So the first step was about physical release. So allow our body to relax. For goodness sake, we're so tense. Yeah? So it's about letting go there at a physical level. The second step is very much about emotional letting go. So acceptance of ourselves, forgiveness, letting go of guilt, all of these things. So releasing those areas, emotions. And today we're going to go in more depth about the mind and actually begin to what I call declutter the mind. So we have more ability to focus, more ability to be clear. And again, that's about releasing. And then the 4th step is about an inner stillness that I've talked about. So this feeling the essence of who we are, that stillness within, and aligning with that. And the 5th step is about, again, compassion for self, compassion for others. And those 2 steps are about realigning to who we really are. Okay, so that's the 5 steps. And really the good news is that if you practice those steps, and again, at each step, at each stage, I have various techniques. The idea is you learn a number of techniques and pick those that resonate with you. And then you'll find that deeper connection, that aim that we're going for, from disconnection to connection. And again, so today we'll talk about step 3, calming the overactive mind. Okay. So let's do that now. Calming the overactive mind. I've got a statistic here I wrote down, because we all know how chaotic the mind is, but there was some research done about how many thoughts per day we have. It's amazing to me, 60 to 80,000 apparently. No wonder it's so crowded in there, in that little mind of ours. And when people try to slow down, they often are trying to overpower their mind, like eradicate all thought, make it stop. And it's like they're going to war with their own mind. Yeah, this fighting, which some people experience in meditation. I'll talk to you about that before we do the meditation to help you counteract that. For you're not fighting with yourself the whole time, because I'm telling you, it's exhausting. First, it doesn't work. It doesn't help you slow down at all by having this constant inner battle. And again, it's exhausting. So the purpose for what we're doing here is to create a very powerful mind where we're uncluttered, balanced, we're clear, we're focused. And again, I think I mentioned, but it's worth mentioning again. For each of the 5 steps, I teach a number of techniques that help you master that very specific step. And I recommend that you embrace all of them, you learn them, you try them out, okay? And then pick the techniques that resonate most with you and then practice those on your own, okay? Because people get overwhelmed. I'm not trying to overwhelm. What I'm trying to do is give you a number so that you go, ah, yeah, that one really worked for me. And you'll be surprised. What works for you does not work for other people. So pick up what works for you. That's the key bit, okay? And if it helps, there's 4 techniques at the beginning stage here for calming the overactive mind. Advanced stages, I teach other things. But we took one in the January webinar, this idea of letting go, yeah, at a physical level can really help you ease this overactive mind, because often it's just because you're so tense. And when you let that go, the mind also slows down. I'm going to show another technique today. And then in the class next month, the Beginner's Foundation class, I'm going to be teaching 2 more. So I know a number of you are already signed up for that. But I teach 2 more techniques in there. Okay? But today, because I can only, let's focus on today's technique. And it's all about this idea of developing a new habit. For those that are interested, it's based on more of an advanced practice that Alan Wallace teaches called shamatha. And this very specific meditation we'll do today is really about settling the mind in its natural state. That's what he calls it. But this habit is about being gentle. We find the mind eases off when you're just gentle with it. So actually what we're going to do today is watch our mind. So see it as this kind of space. So instead of trying to get rid of thought, oh, slow down, we're simply going to watch the mind and see what comes up. Okay? And the idea here is when I say this new habit, accept whatever comes up, acknowledge the thought. That's it. So you're not trying to get rid of them. You're seeing them almost like they're clouds passing through in the sky, something like this. So you have an awareness of what the mind is. I'll guide you through it. And you just see the thoughts. You're not trying to get rid of them in any way. Just accept them as they are. And actually, you'll find that the mind kind of loses power over you, and these thoughts begin to dissipate. Okay? So hopefully that explains it. If not, be open, and during the meditation, I'll guide you through it, and just do the best you can with what you're given. Okay, and that leads on to the experience that you have, because it's very important you allow whatever experience comes to at this time. Okay, some people might experience something like real calmness or peacefulness or clarity afterwards, maybe during, maybe afterwards, whatever. Yeah. For me, this image comes up almost like when you see real turbulent water. Maybe it's a lake or an ocean or whatever it is, and it's like confusion, waves, everything, everywhere, and it's really not clear at all. It's lots of silt, lots of rubbish in it. And then when the water begins to settle, it becomes crystal clear, and all that silt has just fallen to the bottom. That's how I often see my mind before I meditate. It's like, clutter, confusion. And then as I meditate and after I meditate, it's like all that silt has fallen to the bottom, and then there's much more clarity. Some people might experience that. You may think, man, I was thinking the whole time. And you know what? That's okay too. The most important thing here is that you're creating a new habit. So instead of fighting and resisting your mind, you're acknowledging, accepting, looking at what is naturally there. And actually, as the mind gets distracted from these things, is being able to be aware enough that you take it to where you want it to go. Yeah. So if it goes off to thinking about work or a sound that's happening, This idea is that we bring our mind back to where we want it to be going. That's very important in meditation. You start getting sleepy, you become aware of that, and then you perk the mind up. That's an example as well. Okay, so allow the experience. And just for people in the class too, again, we're going to be experiencing two different techniques. One is a visualization where you gently release, and we're going to be talking a lot about obsessive thinking because people do struggle with that. So if you're in the class, start thinking of maybe situations and so on that can happen to you, so we can talk about it in a couple of weeks. Okay, important messages. We're almost at the meditation if you're getting impatient. But I have to mention some key success factors, and this is in meditation in general. This idea of commit to yourself to practice regularly. And I'm saying 3-4 times a week is going to give you an impact. And this is because I liken it to tennis. Tennis pros, they don't just get on the court and play the game. They're practicing all the time so that when they do get on the court, it's just a natural kind of reaction. They have trained so much that it's become a habit. That's the idea here with meditation. So imagine that you get into difficult situations, you get uptight, but here you've been meditating regularly enough that you have tools to center yourself and then perform your best. That's the idea with meditation, so that it starts to overflow into your daily life. Okay? So regular practice will do that for you. If it's just a theory or something you've done a couple times, it will not. I'm sorry to tell you. Interactive guidance, that's another key thing, because again, my experience is that you have to be engaged when you're learning, and ask questions. So not someone just talking at you as I am now, but later you will be able to have a chance to ask questions. And again, no matter what level you are, I have a teacher, my teacher has a teacher. So you might think, why do I need that? But what I've found is that you're just much more likely to continue. And I know from personal experience, the depth of your meditation, if you're not trying to get more guidance, the depth of your meditation isn't going to kind of increase over time. And also getting support. I think that's really important. And again, this isn't kind of a sales thing at all. It's what I've seen from people that have continued to meditate over time. If you think, hey, you'd like me as your meditation teacher, honestly, that's great. Fantastic, in fact. But the key is to pick someone that resonates with you. Maybe it's someone more local to you, whatever it is, but they have to feel right, and you have to trust them. So this interactive guidance is really important, though. Okay, so let's get into the meditation itself, and I'm going to start by giving you a couple practical tips before we start. And that first tip is just having a posture that is comfortable for you. Okay, so nothing fancy for today. It's essentially that you're sitting upright, that your back is straight so that the energy is allowed to flow up and down the spine easily, and that your feet are flat on the floor. For those that are practiced in meditation, if you want to lie down, if you want to sit cross-legged, however is best for you. But those at the beginning, just realizing that you don't have to be fancy with this, okay? Second thing is an alert mind. In meditation, it's not that you go kind of, I say, off to sleepy time. That's what I used to think. But here we want to keep a very alert and aware mind. So this idea, if you find that you are getting a bit sleepy, just become more interested in the meditation. Know that you are supposed to be alert, attentive to the mind, okay? And the last one is how to deal with distractions. Again, this idea, don't fight with your mind, okay? Here is a little different, this meditation, than most, because I am going to ask you to, once we do the relaxation part of this, is to kind of view the space of your mind, allowing thoughts to arise and just being at ease with them. But generally speaking, if your mind gets completely distracted, maybe your mind has gone off to work and you're caught up in thinking your meditation is completely gone, or you're focused on a pain in your body, that's all you can think about, is this idea of those are simply all distractions. The idea is that you acknowledge it, say, oh yes, thank you, I've been thinking a lot about that. And then move your mind back to where it's supposed to go at any time during meditation. Okay? And hopefully I explained that well enough that you can get through the meditation, and then if you have any questions, we can go through that at the end. Okay, so I'm going to just check back here and see if anyone's got any questions. Looks like everyone's just listening at this point. Good news. So I will get into the guided meditation. And I want to make sure too, again, because I know some of you are more practiced than others on the call that I see. So you can do this open-eyed or closed-eyed, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay? So getting into a comfortable position. And in a moment, I'm going to ring the bell. And at that point, you just have to close your eyes. So start by taking 3 long, slow, deep breaths. Controlled breathing at this moment. Breathe all the way down into your abdomen. Really puff the abdomen out. So breathe deeply all the way into the abdomen. And then just release. 3 times, long, slow, deep breathing. Controlled breathing at this time. And then after that 3rd breath, just allow your body to breathe naturally. So let go of control. Instead, just kind of stand back and watch the process of breathing with your mind. Really tune into your own body. Pay attention for a change, simply by watching each breath. Begin to notice these natural sensations, these natural movements that occur in your body as you breathe. You may feel sensation around the nose. Maybe there's tingling, or that sensation of the wind flowing in. So don't try to make anything happen, just watch what does happen as you allow this process of breathing just to happen. Noticing how it impacts your body. Maybe you feel movements. Maybe you feel the chest or abdomen rising and falling as you breathe. Perhaps you feel the nostrils flaring. Whatever it is, just allow it to occur. Rest your mind on the breath and tune in. So be aware, attentive, interested in each breath that you take. But allow yourself to relax. In fact, feel that sense of deep relaxation, especially as you breathe out, that feeling of just surrendering to the breath. Like a gentle gust of wind, the breath is moving through you. And as you breathe out, you feel that sense of release. Almost relief, like, just let everything go as the breath moves through you. And all your muscles begin to loosen up. All the tenseness just leaves the body with the out-breath. Remembering that if the mind wanders off, simply to acknowledge whatever that distraction is. Maybe it's a noise, a pain, a thought. Just acknowledge that your mind has wandered somewhere else, and then move the mind back to the process of breathing, allowing yourself really to relax deeply with each breath. Be in this space, this present moment together, in silence for a few moments. Just ignore that bell. That was an accident. But let's begin to start down this road of heightening our awareness and begin to settle the mind in its natural state. We have these 6 doors of perception, the ones you are very familiar with that are physical, the smell, the sight, the sound, the taste, the touch. But we also have this mental experience. Let's direct our attention to the domain of our mind. These thoughts, these images, these emotions or memories, maybe fantasies that we have. Pay attention to those. So simply sit back and begin to envision like a space somewhere out there that represents the space of your mind. It may come up as something different for each one of you. Sometimes I see it like a sky or a gray space or simply as air. Whatever that picture of your mind is, that image, allow it to arise and simply focus on your mental events without trying to create them, without trying to get rid of them. Just simply be in the state of awareness of your own mind. So let your thoughts arise and recognize that thoughts rise up, they pass, and then they fade away. You don't have to try to make them go away. Like everything, they simply arise, they remain for a time and fall away. So rest your awareness in the space of your mind, this natural state. And this is very different than where we're usually at, this habitual state, which is excited dullness, and it goes anywhere in between. In its natural state, it's just calm. It's the watcher, just sitting back, like you're watching the sky, and there's clouds and planes and different things that come up and simply pass, and you're watching them. Now allow your mind to gradually begin to rest in this calmness, this clarity, just by watching the mind itself. Observing those mental events without intervention. Just passively watching, without clinging to them. Allow them to arise, to remain, to linger a bit maybe, and then pass, like clouds in the sky. If you find this very difficult, try to remain with it for a bit of time. Try it out. Maybe go back to the breath, just watching it move in and out, stabilize yourself, and then go back to watching, being aware of your own mind. Often the mind will become very busy when we're watching the mind. Simply allow those thoughts to come, to go. Watch them without engaging in them. Just notice what comes up. Let it not have a hold on you. Simply let them pass by. And sometimes the mind will appear almost blank, like all the thoughts have scattered away. In this case, deliberately generate a thought. Maybe just take your attention to a noise that has occurred and see what you think of it. And see where that leads you. Simply be with that thought, allow it to arise, to remain, pass away, and watch it. And going back simply to the space of your mind, observing what comes next. So the object of your attention is the space of your mind. And if you find you get very caught up in one situation, again, don't try to banish these thoughts. This is a time to relax more. The answer is always relax more. Go back to the breath. Feel your body relaxing, letting go, and simply watch the mind. Feel that sense of letting go with the out breath and return back to the object of your meditation, the space of the mind. Continuing in silence, simply watching the space of your mind, this grayness, this sky, whatever that space looks like. Watching the thoughts that arise and also pass away without any kind of resistance. Let the mind settle in its natural state. And now take your attention back to the process of breathing. Simply feel the movement of the breath flowing in and flowing out at its natural pace, not trying to control the breath at all. Just allowing your body to breathe and tuning in to each breath. Allow yourself to really get into this relaxed state. Feel the breath moving through you, and as you release the breath, allow yourself to feel the deep sense of ease. Like you're just letting everything go and the muscles loosen up. It's like you're sinking into the chair, your feet get heavy on the floor, and you're simply surrendering to each breath. So allow your body to relax, but keep the mind alert, attentive, interested in the breath. Pay attention to your own body as it breathes. For a few minutes on your own. Deep relaxation, attentive mind. And in a moment, I'm going to ring the bell 3 times. You can rise from the meditation, but do so in your own time. Only open your eyes when you feel ready to do so. Okay, so I hope that seemed to work for everybody. We shall find out soon enough. Okay, so just a couple key messages in summary. First one is the main message, which is remembering that success and stillness, meditation does go together. So the gateway to success is really through stillness. Again, remembering that your aim here is simply to move from being disconnected to being more connected. That's what we're doing. And all the techniques, in some cases you've been exposed just to one, in other cases a number of them. But pick the ones that resonate with you the most. I've had some people feeding back that, you know, which one do they choose, and they're getting a bit confused. And just remember that whatever resonates with you of all the things that you've taken, pick those. I mean, these others have value as well, but at this beginning stage, pick the ones that really feel right for you. Not to forget to commit to regular practice. It's wonderful if you're joining for webinars and coming to classes, but in between, also practicing again 3-4 times a week is enough. And again, I do really encourage people to sign up for interactive guidance, because I think that's the biggest step that you'll make towards practicing regularly and getting the depth that you want to get. And that's about it. I'm going to hand it over to question and answer. But again, here's some information about if you're interested in the next webinar, which is the 17th of May. Any of the classes, all of this is on my website as well. These are opportunities to help you get started, and my email address is up there as well. I'll leave that for just a few moments and go back to showing my face in a minute. And I'll open it up now to questions. So I'm in the chat room. So if anybody has any questions, you can just type them in. And I'm just asking questions. Or experiences. Maybe you found actually the mind got very busy. Maybe you felt deep relaxation, whatever it was. And by the way, sorry about that. I forgot my gong at first. I had to go and get it. And I used my meditation timer, which, you know, obviously did a chime while we were trying to meditate. Never mind. So I am interested in hearing the experiences and any questions that are out there, because I think this is a very, even probably quite different than most people are used to for meditation, except for some people that run my advanced class. Probably have done this before. But it's very powerful, and even if it was a bit uncomfortable or more challenging than usual, pick it up, because trust me, it took me a while to get the hang of it. But actually, wow, talk about clarity afterwards. You can really use this, very powerful. So Liz, not a question, more of a reflection. I had a Darren Brown moment. I'm back in the room. Oh boy, what's Darren Brown moment? Sorry, blonde Canadian, don't know what that means. A Darren back in the room. Meaning, sorry, can you elaborate on that? So I'm gathering that you kind of faded off? Is that what you mean? Funnily enough, my thoughts started behaving. Okay, so type that more in, Liz, because I don't understand what that means. Is a hypnotist. Oh, cheers. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Did you feel like you faded off kind of more to sleep kind of thing? Or was it, here, I'll show you my face now. Or was it that you were still aware during that time and then came back? Because there's a big difference. People might think, oh, gosh, I've almost faded off to sleep. But if it's this state of awareness that you've kept throughout the meditation, actually, that's the kind of clarity that I'm talking about, is you're still very aware. It just feels like you're at a different kind of subconscious level. That can very much happen. And that's actually a level of deepness is what I would consider. It's what he says when he brings people back into reality was about noticing my thoughts. Okay, interesting experience. I think, again, I'm saying that a level of depth to that, it sounds to me. Okay, maybe misinterpreting that. But thank you, Liz. Interesting. Ruth, funnily enough, my thoughts started behaving when I started to visualize them in their space. And for a change, I did manage to visualize, hey, interesting. Hey, this is what is interesting. How interesting, sorry, I keep saying the same word, Ruth, but because I know you've had so much trouble with visualization, and when I give you something that's not concrete, something very abstract, the space of your mind, you've just picked that up. And that in itself is quite an interesting step. And also the fact when you say my thoughts started to behave. Yeah. Often people will find is that, again, surprisingly, again, there's many different types of experiences that I've seen and I've had occur. But this idea of actually, I can just remain calm and watch. Like, I think of it like the sky, where things are passing through. I don't have to try to control them. I don't have to try to get rid of them. I don't have to try to make them happen. They just are happening. And again, if that seems to be working for you, then this is a great meditation. I'm glad you joined for this one then. Instantly, yes. Okay, yeah, instantly. That's wonderful. Really good, really good. Good. But again, for other people, that it's not unusual that those two things I mentioned during the meditation, where you get almost like a blankness, like, oh my God, there's no thoughts in my mind. Busy all the time, go to watch it, scatters away. That's not unusual. And that idea of just creating a purposeful thought can actually start the mind then going down a path with not out of control path, but just to create a thought, and then you get comfortable with watching. The other extreme, of course, is that you're just bombarded by thoughts. You're watching this space and it's just like overwhelmed. And to kind of sit through that, be patient through that is very, very important, because you're probably already just that busy in your mind anyway, but here you're taking notice. And if you allow yourself to be at that equilibrium and just begin to watch, it'll gradually find its own settling point. Just like I think of that body of water, the ocean, or with all the waves, and just let it settle at its own pace. Okay. Yeah, oh, perfect, Ruth. You haven't done this one. You haven't done this one before. Definitely pick this up. I'm really pleased. Really pleased. Okay. Anyone else have a question or an experience they want to share, or had an experience similar to Ruth and Liz, possibly, or something completely different, maybe? Like I say, whatever the experience is, it's valuable. And remembering that here we're creating a strong mind simply by doing the practice itself. There's always value to it, even if at the time it doesn't seem like it. Okay. We are almost out of time, but if anyone has another question, I'll wait another minute or so, because I'm always like really interested in what happened, and also I love to answer questions and talk about meditation. So let me know if there's another question or so. Let me see. Okay, everyone's still on. So anyone else? Cool. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, actually, Liz and Ruth, I'm not sure, when Elizabeth taught one of the classes, did she do anything like this? It doesn't seem like it with Ruth. This is the first time, but I think, Liz, you might have done this one before. I'm interested to see, because I think she might have done awareness of awareness more, but at any rate. probably a different experience this time. Okay, so since there's no more questions, I left it another minute. Do know that you can get a hold of me anytime, okay? This will also be on my YouTube channel for a little while, and I'll send you a link to that. Awareness of awareness, yeah, okay, thanks, Liz. So I will put it up there so you can share it with friends, you can redo it, you can just skip directly to the meditation and re-practice that, or watch the whole webinar, whatever it is that is best for you. Perfect, that's about it, and I look forward to seeing you all again. And just a couple more comments, I'll read them. Not exactly, but it's reminding me of one she did where she watched ourselves. Yes, yeah. Okay, so similar, another meditation we call awareness of awareness, which is probably something similar if you want to look into that. Okay, so all very interesting comments. Thank you very much. And that's it for this time. See you again. Bye.